at that name. Dr. Lillian McGregor Park. Before I start doing anything, I have to scroll in IKEA a bit. I really want this nightstand thing because I don't have a nightstand. So every time I drink water or like I read a book or like use my laptop, I would just put it on the floor. I like that it's like dark blue. And there's like a piece of light colored wood on top, which I like. And for $60, I think that's cute. When I eat, I don't make things that are too extra. I usually just make food decent enough so I can consume and be full and go on about my day. For me, the older that I am, I feel less judged when I go outside. It might be because I don't know how to put it. I guess I feel a bit more confident as a person, and also I know myself a lot more than, let's say, when I was like 18 or 16, when it was scary for me to sort of go out and make eye contact with people. Eggs are my favorite things. Apparently, it's an Asian thing. If any of you are Asian, are eggs like your favorite things? Like, do we eat eggs a lot? I think we eat eggs just like how any other person would. I eat eggs every day. Is that too much? These days, I've been feeling really great. Just going out alone and just doing things on my own. Just running errands or just going around the city and find like cool little spots to just sort of sit there for 5 minutes and then leave. In contrast to when I was younger, now I feel a bit safe just being outside. I just don't think anything can hurt me anymore. So when I go out with that mindset, I'm gonna have fun. I also feel a bit more normal going out or like just doing stuff outside. I feel like as an introvert, in the past I tend to really just like lock myself up in a room and just like be online a lot. Still do things alone, but I was doing it in my own comfort, on my own bed, instead of going out and taking those things outside. So that's the difference. If I feel like I'm too locked up in a room, if I feel like I haven't been outside for a couple days, I start going insane. I just simply need to go out every single day now. And it could be just like 20 minutes outside or like 30 minutes or maybe up to 2 hours or 3 hours on some days. And going out just makes it all okay for me. It just makes me feel like a normal human being. I don't know why, but I know a couple of people who are a bit hesitant to go out on their own by themselves because they think it's sort of boring or like there's nothing to do or like there's no one to talk to. But I feel like it's actually necessary sometimes to go out alone and just feel small. To me, feeling small, sometimes it can be positive. Sometimes I feel like I'm just a single fraction in this earth, and that whatever I do won't matter that much when there's billions other people going on about their days, looking different and doing different things. I think it's just makes me feel small and safe, knowing that, oh, I belong on this giant rock planet. And also, no one really cares. Sometimes these unexpected moments really just tie everything together. Like sometimes I would go out, someone would just like come up to me and like say hi or like ask me a question, ask me how to get to somewhere, and that little like interaction with them asking, with me responding, that is sometimes like fun. And the fact that that interaction could just appear out of nowhere is just so, I don't know, fascinating to me. Like I want to take a class on that. If you ever feel weird for just going out alone, like don't ever think of that again. And in case you haven't noticed, I just also got a haircut. And it's quite short and I feel really bald. Like, whenever I go out and when the sun is like right on top of my head and hits my head just right, like you can see my entire scalp. Yeah, I went to the barbershop yesterday. That's why you see at the start of the day I still had like longer hair, and then suddenly by 3 p.m. all my hair was gone. I was talking to the barber. He was asking me what size or what number do I want for my basket. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean? He like proceeded to talk about the sizes again. He was like, is 4.5, I think. Is 4.5 okay? And then he started to show me like, it's like that long. I was like, I want it shorter. And then he was like, okay, so like 3.5. I was like, sure. So he did all of that. And I was telling him about how whenever I go to a barbershop, I would just get a different haircut every time. I don't have a hairstyle that I stick to at all. It gets shorter and shorter. A couple years ago, when I first got my haircut after growing out my hair to like this length, and I got a haircut that was long, and I got a haircut that was way shorter. It was like normal length, but compared to now, that also felt long. You know, I still had bangs and stuff like that. I did like a perm. Would never do that again. The perm looked great on me. It didn't feel great. All of my hair was like falling out, and I think it's because I don't take care of my hair that much. I got it permed, and then I just like put a bunch of product on, and I thought that is like enough, but apparently you have to like condition your hair and like do stuff with it, or hair oil, hair mask and stuff, which I never really cared for. So my hair started to get thinner, and I got way less hair now. But yeah, that perm grown out again to be this length, and then I cut it a bit shorter than what I had done before, and then I let it grow out a little bit, not too long, and then I would cut it again shorter than I had it before. And the cycle continues until today when the length is like this much. My hair just aggressively gets shorter and shorter every time. Two people who have been friends with me for years, I think it's just a very natural progression. You know, like sometimes I don't think they even notice that my hair got to this length. But for people who haven't seen me or talked to me in like 2 or 3 years, they would probably be shocked that this is the hair I'm rocking right now. And I honestly feel good about this. It might not look the best on me, but like who really cares? And to me, whatever feels the best is the best. Whatever feels right is right. Maybe next time I might do something different. I don't know. I don't know how possibly I could go shorter. You know? I don't know. Maybe I should like shave my hair. No, that wouldn't look... No. That wouldn't look good. Yeah, that's a bit about my hair history, which I didn't expect to talk to you guys about. I just wanted to address that I got a haircut. I remember the last time, when I first came to that shop, I had asked him to give me a buzz cut, and then he was like, "Are you sure? That would mean that all your hair is gone. Are you sure?" I grew a bit nervous when he asked that, but then I bit the bullet and I was like, "Let's do it." I want to dedicate this time to talk about the books. Those are the books I recently got. So this is All That's Left in the World. It's an apocalyptic fiction, and I don't know what's happening yet. I've only read like the first 2 pages when I was waiting for my turn in the barbershop. It's reading like journal entries, which is like nice, I guess. And this is not, I don't know why this is in here. This is George Orwell's 1984. I had started it months ago, I think at the start of the year, around March. I hadn't even finished it yet, and somehow it's in the stack. I think that means that I should finish it. I was getting to the part where he was talking about, I forgot the characters' names, but he was talking about the book that he got. That book about that book. You know, if you read it, you probably know what book I'm talking about. That huge book that he like stole, or not stole, but he got it like illegally, and he had to like sneak it in his home to read it. Pages after pages, it was about the book. I sort of lost my interest, so I put it down, and I'm planning to pick it up again. Hopefully, I don't have to reread everything because I low-key don't remember anything. But maybe I should just read the synopsis, and maybe that will be enough. I love this book cover, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this book is about, so I don't really have to like pitch it to you guys. It talks about a regime that sort of oversees people and controls people. I'm not sure. Is it in? Well, it's not in 1984. I don't think. It's somewhere in the past. Somewhere in the past where people were being controlled, and people were being lied to, and people were being manipulated to believe fabricated truths. That's what it's about. So if that interests you, you should pick that up. I also got this. This is also a classic. William Golding's Lord of the Flies. I read this in high school. I remember really loving it. I was writing a whole essay analyzing it. I'm not sure what the topic was, but I remember writing on something about the book. At night, in the darkness of the jungle, they are haunted by nightmares of a primitive beast. Okay, I know what the beast is. It's pretty gnarly, like this book. It's pretty fun to read, and it's pretty short, I have to say. I still remember vividly a few scenes that happened here, a few iconic scenes. But I'm excited to reread it because it has been 5 years since I read this. And I've always loved this book. This actually started I think this is true. Don't quote me on this, but I think this book was what actually started my reading journey. After reading this, I started going to the library, borrowing a bunch of books and reading them. This was what started everything. These 3 books I got at my local BMV. They had just opened the new BMV, and they were running a promotion where you can get 3 random books for $10. On the second floor, they would have a bunch of old books where if you get 3, you would only pay $10 for 3 of them. And you don't really know what you're gonna get. You know, it's not really. I mean, they do categorize them into like different stuff, like like fiction, and then literature, and then Canadian literature, and then kids and cookbooks, stuff like all that stuff. I got Martyr from fiction. It's a very popular book. You know, I've heard good things. I actually don't know what it's about, but because I love the cover. I love the cover, and I love yellow. No, I lie. I actually hate yellow, but I love yellow on this book cover. I like the yellow here. The synopsis is kind of bleak. It's about, is it war again? It's probably war. Okay, it talks about how we spend our lives seeking meaning in faith, art, ourselves, and others. Intriguing. Yeah, and I talked to the bookseller, the cashier, and they were like, I cannot believe you found that because we were trying to hide it so we could take it for ourselves later. I was like, oops, I'm sorry. Apparently they had like 10 other Martyr copies that they were really hesitant to put out on the shelves because they all wanted it for themselves. But this one copy got out, and I got it, which is great. And then in the same fiction shelf, I got Nothing to See Here. I had just finished reading this. I think it's a really amazing book. It's fun. It gets bittersweet the more you read, the more you understand the main character, Lillian. I've never read a book like this. Talks about friendships and family and motherhood. The ending kind of made me tear up a little bit because everything just seemed bleak but also hopeful for Lillian. I tend to really gravitate towards people with sort of like a fucked up life, or not fucked up, but a bit more unstable, trying to find hope and faith. Yeah, and then something would happen that would change the course of their lives. Lillian had to take care of these children who would combust. The kids just sort of like burst into flames when they get mad. And it's just about how Lillian is supposed to navigate her life with these children, being the sole caretaker for these children. I think that is a metaphor for children who don't feel fitted, and how they learn how to love themselves and love their uniqueness, I'd say. Very bittersweet and just very wholesome, and I cried a little bit. But this is the last one I got from that 3 for 10 stack. This is The Northern by Jacob McArthur Mooney. I'm not good at pronouncing stuff, so let me just say Jacob. I bought this without knowing anything. This is not even a popular book. I checked on Goodreads, and it only had like 15 reviews. Apparently it's about these two boys, or maybe one. Oh no, two boys. They came from the US. They migrated to Canada for something, and they got a job there. It's about baseball, because obviously. And yeah, it talks about hard truths about work, sex, religion, money, and how far our dreams might or might not take us. Wow. The Northern is a novel I'll be thinking about for a long time. Interesting. Yeah, I'm excited to read it. It seems fun. I like the premise. They were dispatched from Minnesota to Western Ontario. Okay, they've been hired by an upstart Mormon baseball card company. That's interesting. I'm so excited to dig into it, but I am already reading All That's Left in the World, so I'm gonna put it off to a later day or week, because I usually don't. I know some people do this, but I cannot just like start multiple books at once. I cannot. I just cannot start multiple things at once. Like I just can't. Well, maybe I can. I've just never tried it. It doesn't feel like it's a thing for me. So I just never tried it. From the library, I also borrow Call Me Indian. Where is the synopsis? Oh, it's a long synopsis. Oh, it's a memoir. It's a memoir, and it has hockey on the cover. It feels like it's that book that my sister read in high school. Is it The Indian Horse? Yeah, it also talked about how to cope with like the tragedies of residential school, this guy just started to become good at hockey. Not sure if this. Oh yeah, from the trauma of residential school to becoming NHL's first treaty Indigenous player. So it's also about that. I don't think it's about the same guy. Another book that I had bought for $10 is this Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. This book is absolutely the funnest book I've ever read. It's very Asian, which I relate, obviously. A lonely shopkeeper takes it upon herself to solve a murder in the most peculiar way in this captivating mystery by Jesse Q. Sutanto, best-selling author of A Doll for Aunties. Never read that, but this book was great. I finished it so fast. This and Nothing to See Here both talks about family in different ways. Very, very different ways. This is about solving a murder. This book started with this guy dead in this woman's tea shop. She's like a tea shop owner. And she's a bit older. She's Asian, and she did something that was questionable. And now she's trying to solve the murder on her own without involving the police. And on the way, she found some friends. She became the matchmaker for a few of them, which was nice. It's fun to see an older Asian woman being in the spotlight. It reminds me a lot of my grandmother. Wholesome book. Did I cry? I don't remember. I'm a big crier. So, yeah, if a book plays with my feelings, then I will be crying. This is the last book. Thickest. I'll probably read this after I finish all of them. Got this from the library. This is also a biography. This is Nick Drake Remembered for a While. This is a biography of Nick Drake. And I think it was written by his sister. Who wrote this? But who wrote this? I think it's his sister. I think it's a detailed documentation of multiple witnesses and multiple people in his life. They probably came together and talked about experiences with him and how they remembered him and his music and stuff. Yeah, Nick Drake passed away when he was, I think when he was in his 20s. Nick Drake is someone that I really, really like. I've even done a project on him where I created this, look at this, collage. Yeah, I framed it. Yeah, it was for one of my design projects that I was doing at the start of summer. Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about him because I actually don't know anything about him except for the fact that he made music and that he passed away. Yeah, that's all the books. Are you excited for any of them? I will be reading all of them. I think I don't ever skip a book without at least trying to read more than half of it. In my last video, I was also talking about the Knicks. Now that I know, it's actually pronounced the Knicks and not the Nix. The Knicks was a long book. It got kind of unfocused at some points. Lots of information were thrown in your face. Lots and lots of characters being introduced. But I guess all their lives were intertwined. It was about this relationship between a son and a mom, and that mom had abandoned him. Now she did something also questionable, and a lawyer called the son to like vouch for the mother. The son came. He asked the mother about all the things, like, oh, why did you leave me, something like that, because the mother's life has been a total secret to him and to everyone, to the readers as well. We didn't know anything about her until he went on a whole journey and he found lots of things about his mom that in the end made him feel a bit more connected to her. In the end, the relationship, I guess, sort of changed. It's not just about the mother's life, but everyone's lives, especially the son's life as well, and how her leaving him impacted his life and how his life was before when they were still together. Yeah, it's pretty political as well. It's historical. It drew some parallels from the riot in Chicago. It's not the driving factor, but it was pretty much heavily introduced. I would prefer if the author took a little bit out. So it's more like a manageable book with manageable lessons. But overall, it was still a great time reading it. Took me on a journey. It took me a couple weeks to finish. During that time, I was also doing lots of interviews, so my mind wasn't really in it. When I was reading about these like bleak things and these protests and how people got beat up by the police and the strained relationship between the mom and the son, it kind of was a lot. But it was fun. Nothing too sad, but it's informational. I would say that. Informational. Would I recommend it to people? I guess if you like reading about social issues and protests, but with a little bit of like a family drama in there, then sure. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Vera Wong, I also give that 4 out of 5. Nothing to see here is a 5 out of 5. I love that book. Yeah, that's all the books that I have.